coming, and you get blindfolded at that point in time. If you don't take time, you lose focus, and the next thing, you are involved in a crash. So we must be conversant with the weather condition of our country. Then you must have what you call route planning. Wherever you are going, know the route, know the condition of the road you are moving, know the weather condition of that very road you are moving, just like the president just said now. You are conversant with the weather condition, day in, day out. So if I'm moving to a slow place, it has been estimated that there will be rain, or there will be a kind of storm, or maybe light shower. Whatever it is, be conversant with it, so that when you are moving, and at that point in time, you are not a kind of, you have conscience. You are conscious of what you are going to meet ahead of you. So you plan what? You plan ahead. Let's come back to the rainy season. Aside that, there are some certain situations that come up. You have the cold period too, during the dry season, whereby you now come across fog, where you are not able to see ahead of you. Most of us, when we're driving maybe towards the extreme northern part of this country, there are times during the dry season, maybe around November, December side to early January, you're on the road. It's not during rainy season, but you cannot even see ahead of you. Even 20 meters ahead of you, you cannot see. Now, these are weather conditions that we must be very, very conversant with. There are situations that you must on your headlight or headlamp in the daylight to be able to see a few meters ahead to enable you drive. In such a situation, you must control your speed. You must apply what we call common sense speed limit. Common sense speed limit. At times, it reaches a point in time that you must under others. Some of us that live around Jos area, towards Pangshim axis, towards this Obudu hillside, towards that, this Adama, extreme Adama, this Gongola axis, Adama side, you know exactly what I mean. So sometimes it's better for you to park off the road and allow the weather to clear a bit for you before you move on. Most importantly, when in this process time, as you on your hazard light, on your trafficator, the double trafficator. Your double trafficator, you don't fall into that pothole. Unfortunately, some of us drive too close. If you are to come to the rainy season, we have issues. I said before that when there was Big Bang, then there was sudden stability. Then human activities have come to play. Unfortunately, you see where you have a river flowing. We block it, build houses on it. We have natural flow of water, you block it, create road. You have natural flow of water, you block it or divert it to create another diversion. Now there's something that we must know, that water must what? Definitely find its level at any point in time. You may block it today, tomorrow you have issues. That's why all over the world now you have the issue of land. Don't build there. You've built along the waterway. You build along the pipeline. So at the end of the day, we have distorted the system completely. So we must be able to know the effect of what we've done. And especially water. It is said that it's the most dangerous natural disaster in the world that we have. It's something that when it starts, you cannot stop it. It must go until it finds its level of rest, then you now begin to take any action that you want to take at that point in time. So water has corrosive tendencies. That means if you have water flowing here, it must flow in that part and pack everything that it has along its line. Then as it is moving, there are some chemical reaction that will take place. And along the line, as that chemical reaction takes place, you find it eating up the place, and the erosion will now come what? Come into being. We have our third roads. It's very unfortunate, some of us are contractors. You will now know exactly what we mean here. You've constructed your road, very beautiful road, third road, but one day you just find one small portion of that road eaten up. That means the material that you must have laid in that place was not even enough. There was a little disturbance. And what is a little disturbance or gap? Water now penetrates that point. And if water is allowed now to penetrate that point, you have what you call chemical reaction happening there. And when it starts happening, it starts eating up that part of the highway, and the next thing you find is the road giving way. As immediately water touches it and opens it up, that's all. It softens every other thing, and the various layers that are under are not as strong as the one that you have on top, so it now paves way for easy erosion to take place. And once it happens, remember that when we are driving, you will go and fall into that pothole. The more you fall into it, the more you are creating the impact and giving way for more erosion to take place in that very portion of the road. So you find a lot of highways being eaten up. So at that point in time, once you are driving on such a route, especially during rainy season, wherever you see a small portion of water, try and dodge it. Try and stay away from it. It may be very small, but it may be devastating at the end of the day. So you must be very, very careful at that point in time. So you have the issue of these portions of water. Aside that, let's come to see the effect of water. Sometimes we have flooding. Sometimes we have erosion. It doesn't give you warning. But NIMET had given you earlier warning that so season, so period in time, maybe Kogi, Plateau, FCT will face devastating flooding. Then when you are not driving at this point in time along these places, what do you need to do? You should be conscious of what you are doing. Immediately you find that water has overflown its bank. Please try as much as possible to avoid that road. Just try as much as possible to avoid that road. Some of us were so careless that once we come, an Agbero will come along the line and say, follow me in a vehicle, follow me. You'll be walking along that line and you'll be following him. Have you considered his weight and the weight of your vehicle? Most of us have been washed away because of this type of carelessness. Why can't you wait until that water subsides, you see clear, before you now move across that very point? We have another issue again. One happened along this Sheraton, was it yesterday? The day when there was that heavy rain, along that Sheraton junction. You know, there is more or less these trees there, just like forest. When it was raining, there was this heavy wind, and before you knew it, one of the tree broke and fell by the side of the road. Had it been at that point in time, maybe a vehicle was moving at that point in time, what do you think would have happened? It would have been devastating. So most of us, when we see heavy rains, we tend to rush home, not knowing that we are endangering our lives along the line. So at that point in time, when we see that there's heavy downpour with a lot of wind, because that is part of the friction that we're talking of. With a lot of wind, why don't you just park? Get a safe place, park, and wait for the rain to subside. Once it subsides, then you move ahead, in order not to endanger yourself. Because the day first day, I was too along that side, and you find out that you cannot see more or less 10 meters ahead of you. But some of us are struggling to reach home. Please, let's try as much as possible. Come with full speed. And peradventure, if you two are driving with some certain speed, and you now come and collide, or it collides with you, or the windscreen, you know the devastation. It may even shatter or break your windscreen. And when it does that, you become unstable at that point in time. You don't see again, and because you're already unstable, you lose your concentration, and crash occurs at that point in time. So we must be very, very careful. That's why we say issue of NIMET, telling you that for so period there will be rain. And in this rain, these are the adverse effects that you find along the line. Please, let's take them seriously. Unfortunately, most of us here, the only thing we do is to watch maybe Arewa 24 for 24 hours, or music, or showcase Nigerian films for 24 hours. Even if you ask somebody now that when did they say flooding will take place again here, nobody knows. Some of us don't even know the activities that are happening within the country for almost a whole week. You don't know anything. If you ask me, say, what's my business? But it's your business, because the issue of your life is involved, is at stake at this point in time. So we must be very, very conscious of ourselves. Issue of you driving through the rains, and your your wipers are not even working. It's in Nigeria. I don't know, I've not seen it in other climes. It's in Nigeria that you'll be in a taxi, or in a public transport and rain is falling, a driver is busy stopping and using rag to be clean the windscreen before you be moving ahead. And we sit comfortably in that vehicle. Nobody is complaining. The only thing is you want to reach your destination safely. How can you reach your destination safely with these kind of issues or problems they already have at hand? We should be very, very what? Careful. Aside that, again, when we are driving during the rains, rain is falling on your vehicle, you must definitely wind up your what? Wind up your glasses. Now you are winding up your glasses. Maybe fortunately or unfortunately, maybe you don't have AC in your vehicle. You don't even have heater in your vehicle. You know what happened? Once you lock up, fog will definitely form inside your vehicle. That means there will come a time you won't be able to see anything ahead of you. The next thing you'll be looking for rag. You are driving and you're cleaning or whisking. Or maybe a fellow passenger, please, Oga, carry this here. Help me and be cleaning so that I will see very well. You have already created a danger for yourself. This is why we say in the World Health Organization said almost annually, we lose almost 1.35 or 1.65 lives on road traffic crashes alone on annual basis. And those that are injured, we have almost about 55 million or thereabout annually in the world on annual basis. Most of it are due to what? Carelessness. Human factor. Human carelessness. You are in a vehicle. Something is happening. You are not talking. Until when it's happened, you say, "Na God do am." So we must be able to take cognizance of what we are doing wherever we mount the highway. FRSC has taken cognizance of that, and we've tried to kind of schedule different kind of programs to educate and enforce. That is the carrot and stick. People only like to eat carrot, but you don't like the stick. But without the stick, the carrot cannot work very well. If you bring yourself to bear in FCT here, go to the road and just stop for a second and ponder and look at the way people drive. You'll be sorry you find yourself in this kind of environment. And these people that are driving this vehicle, are people like me and you, educated, vibrant individuals, have families, have children, have very good job, well paid, highly placed, highly classed. But unfortunately, I have to say this, some of us drive like lunatics. You will drive before you know it. Somebody just comes from nowhere from the right-hand side. You are wasting his time. A vehicle is ahead of you. You are trying to give it way to pass. Somebody is honking behind you. Please give me way. You begin to wonder, where is he going? Give him the next 1 minute. He's just turning in the next 100 meters. So please, we should be very, very careful with the way we drive. We insult security agents. But have we come to ponder ourselves? Have you asked ourselves? It is said that, sorry, I use Arabic word. They say, Innal hakka wa ma nafsika. That if you want to judge somebody, judge yourself first. If I want to punish somebody for doing wrong, let me apply that punishment to myself. If I were to do that and I apply that punishment to that person, if I apply it to myself, will I be able to accept it? Will I be happy? If you do that, then I apply that punishment to that person, if it's deterrent. So let's always look inwards wherever you find yourself. Look at yourself first. Am I doing the right thing? I am an FRSC staff. Am I doing the right thing on the road? Am I always on my seatbelt? Do I observe what I say? Those are the things that should be able to guide all of us. Unfortunately, some of us have problems. Problem of identity. I'm sorry to say this now. Uniform men, pardon me. Sometimes the uniform intoxicates us. You get intoxicated. I'm a uniform person. Why should you begin to ask me for driver license? For what reason should I have driver license? But do you know that that uniform is not immunity against accident? That uniform you have is not immunity against death. And that thing that I tell you to have will be the one to even prevent you from that death that they are pushing your head into. So we must be able to sit down and lay what? Lay good examples. Some of us, when you come to the road, you are in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry in such a way that you won't be able to reach that place that you are struggling to reach at that point in time. Remember, I always tell people this thing. They say every disappointment is a blessing, isn't it? Now, at the point in time that the security man is stopping you for something, don't be surprised that at that point in time, the Lord has made in such a way that He will stop you so that you'll be able to face that danger that is coming ahead of you. Maybe you've done something good somewhere. God now wants to repay you. And say, okay, that danger that person is going to meet ahead, let this very person here stop him so that we'll be able to reach that point in time. But we don't read it. Whatever happens to us, we don't read it. All of us here, we are religious. We go to either mosques, churches, or even shrine. There are guides. Isn't it? That wherever you find yourself, thank God. Whatever situation you find yourself, do what? Thank God. You have to go and buy him motorcycle and bicycle to bring it for him to buy. Isn't it? And the rich man will now definitely send him to, he will now leave his village, carry all his food products, go and sell, and go and pay for that what? For that motorcycle, for that rich man to make what? To make more money. So we are what interwoven. Will you be Dangote now, for instance, and you are saying that you are going to buy a bicycle or motorcycle to be going to be doing your businesses? The person selling motorcycles now, is he buying the motorcycle, keeping them so that he will now be driving it around the town? No, he bought it with his money so that he make money. So the man in the village has sent him, go and get me what I want. Then you go to the farm and bring that money and come and buy these things. So all of us are what? Interwoven. We have a very beautiful relationship that we must be able to what? Respect ourselves at any level that we find ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not take you too far, but road traffic crash. Road traffic crash is not a respecter of any individual. It's only those that have keyed into run away from road traffic infractions that survive. However, there are some natural phenomena that we must what? Guide against. Sometimes, whether we like it or not, RTC or road traffic crash must what? Happen. But in any event that it will happen, you must prepare yourself to make sure that it doesn't happen that will lead to what? Fatality. That's why you say if you are going every morning, check your what? Do what you call vehicle parade. Check your brakes. Are my brakes okay? My radiator, is it okay? My battery terminals, my lighting systems, are they working well? Is everything functioning well? By the time you have finished doing everything and you make sure that they're okay, you have reduced the chances of your RTC by 50%. Then when you now begin to drive and you apply what you call common sense driving, especially we in the town, you have again what? Reduce your RTC prevalence by at least another 25 what? 25%. Then when you obey the low traffic regulations on the road, you have reduced it by another 15%. The other 5%, leave them for God. Because that same brake that you have checked that is okay can fail in the next 5 seconds. Then, if you are applying common sense driving by any point you find yourself, then you'll be okay. Finally, apply common sense driving, which we call defensive driving technique. In that defensive driving technique, this is what you have. One, you have observation. As you are moving on the road, you are observing. Then as you are observing, immediately you see danger, you are preparing. Then immediately you prepare and the danger now comes, you react. Isn't it? Now, if you are driving along the road and you do not maintain a sensible driving speed, you will not fall into danger. Because by the time you observe, as I am observing, the next thing I see a pothole. The issue now is, what speed was I moving? Immediately I see that pothole. Then you prepare your mind. What do you do now? You react. As you match your brake, it's not going to stop at that same spot. It must move a specific what? A specific distance. So the distance between preparation and reaction is what we call defensive driving technique. If you are driving along the road, control your speed. The speed you can control can be 2-second rule, 3-second rule, or 4 seconds rule. That means you have a distance ahead of you. If I want to say common sense driving, maybe by the time I pronounce the word common sense driving, is 2 seconds. Then at that point, maybe this very camera here, that is the distance. Immediately I say common sense driving. And before I finish, I'll pass it. That means I'm overspeeding. That is being what? 2 seconds rule. 3 seconds rule, you can apply another one. Before you say common sense driving, safer and saner. Before you finish it, and you know that this is the kind of speed that I'm moving. Sometimes you have what? 4 seconds what? 4 seconds rule. You apply it. Even if there's no vehicle ahead of you, it will save you. Then once you are following somebody, still apply this rule. So that by the time you observe, and then you notice a certain infraction on the road, and then you want to apply your brake, you now know, okay, by the time I follow and apply my brake, the distance that I'm moving will be able to make do before I reach that very point. That's why FRSC formulated that law that vehicles should move at a maximum of what? 100 kilometers per hour. Buses, 90 kilometers per hour. At that point in time, you'll be able to control your vehicle. And then once you match your brake, your braking distance should be able to accommodate you. And even if you are going to be involved in RTC, at the end of the day, you'll be able to what? Save yourself and the life of others, and it will completely reduce or eradicate fatality and what? Adverse injuries, so that you're not being incapacitated at the end of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you find ourselves, please, let's drive safely. You have a life. You have a responsibility to yourself and to your family and to other road users. Remember, that person that you are driving along the road with is your neighbor. It's not only that person's house that is near you. As I'm driving on the road today, anybody that is driving beside me or ahead of me, at that point in time is what? Is my neighbor. And they say, love your neighbor as you what? You love yourself. So if I don't wish my neighbor evil, I should not wish another one evil, neither will you what? Wish me evil. And please, if you go to the road, avoid what you call road rage. Road rage. Immediately somebody passes you, maybe carelessly, check it, then it's Kaburo Banka. You are already annoyed. You have already insulted him. At that time, you yourself are not even stable. Then if it's an Agbero like you, he will react. And the next you see yourself driving, insult yourself along the line. It makes stupendous on most of us. Please, we are educated. We are enlightened. We should be able to carry home that enlightenment and that education along with our attitude. We know that we cannot have the same attitude because we come from different places, different backgrounds, different ethnic groups, different line of training, different kinds of friends and that we keep. But the bottom line of it is all of us are human beings. We should be able to respect ourselves. Nobody created himself. God created us so that all of us will what? We live together. Once we put that in our mind, the whole earth is enough for us to accommodate us. I told somebody that this world, go to one part of Plateau or natural state, pack the whole human beings and put them there. The place is enough for them to even occupy and begin to live. Unfortunately, we have places here to live, enjoy ourselves, but we don't want others to live. Anybody does not want another person to live in peace, he himself will never, ever live in peace. Remember that God that we serve is for all of us. It's not for you alone. It's even for the madman. Don't think because the madman is crossing the road, you just hit him and go scot-free. He has a purpose for being there. All is for us to learn lessons. However, there's one last note I'll leave you. Please, if you go to the road and you are driving, and you find a madman on the road, and you are driving a vehicle, maybe with passengers inside, at that point in time that you are driving, and you are almost about to hit him, you have people inside the vehicle, sometimes it's better to hit him than to go and divert or want to avert him, and then you enter a ditch, and you end up killing 10, 15 passengers in your vehicle, and then the madman will go scot-free. It happened one time, I could not remember that year, I think around Otuba something, a place like that. A pastor with his wife and children on a motorbike. When he was driving after church, going back home, he now saw this madman, just of a sudden, he just came to the road. And he tried as much as possible to what? To dodge him, to avoid hitting the madman. He avoided hitting the madman, quite okay. Unfortunately, they ran into a tree and all of them lost their life. It was what? Devastating. The madman did not even know that anything happened. He kept on walking along the line and just went away. So at times, You have to take a what? A hard decision once you are driving a vehicle. And that your reaction may be within what? A split second. And whatever decision you make, don't argue with yourself. Just take it. That is the best option you have at that point in time. May the good Lord save us, and may He guide us to make sure that we drive safely and then respect the rule of law. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our presenters once again. Thank you very much. I think from the presentation, we have learned a lot. I think I pick one or two things, just like others. The common sense driving, yes, and another road is to avoid road rage. And now you still have another neighbor. Now I learned that from today, a new neighbors. So not my residential neighbor. Now I have neighbors on the road too. I think for the driving school message that we got today, you can drop the money for it to Ampon account. Thank you very much. I also want to announce the presence of DGCEO, Nigerian Meteorological Agency, ably represented by Professor Effion Oku, the Director, Research and Training. Please, let's all give him the standing ovation and a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You are most welcome, sir. I also have with my in our midst the MD of Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, ably represented by Mr. Ayako Augustine. Please come to the high table, please. Thank you very much. You are most welcome. I also want to invite to the high table one of the founding members, a great scholar, a person of Mr. Ujobi Temitope, the General Secretary of Ampon. You are most welcome, sir. All the way from Kano. You are welcome. From the presentations we have, I also want to let everybody appreciate the effort of the FRSA. It is no before, sometimes this Abuja, you have a lot of task for the VIO, some of them jumping over the buses running, but I've never seen FRSA officer doing that. Please let us appreciate them. So that one is telling you the professionals qualities that they are putting into the work. And they've also insight us the significant impact of weather, especially water, which is flooding, the hazard that associated with it on our road. And this is the purpose of the summit, so that we learn one or two things that we have forgotten and we remind ourselves. The next thing on our agenda, the next item on our agenda, right? We have another presentation, a very brief one this time around, from one of the stakeholders in weather consumption, weather service consumption. So I'll be recognize the presence of Abuja Property to give their presentation. Please, you are most welcome to the item, to the podium. A round of applause for him.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the high table, Mr. President, may I stand up the existing protocol. My name is Ibrahim Nasir. I'm presenting a paper from APDC Abuja Property Development Company Limited. I'm going to talk about impact of extreme weather on property and development. Let me start with introduction. Let me start with Nigeria. Nigeria is on latitude 2 degrees and latitude 4 degrees. In the humid tropic with land area of 850 kilometers. That is Idewu et al. 2011. Over 70% of the Nigerian population is engaged in agriculture, with 100% of them providing shelter for their living. The Nigerian Federal Ministry of Environment 2014 emphasized that climate change is now a serious and long-term threat that has potential to affect every part of the globe. This impact already being felt in many sectors, and significant harm for it already occurring. Climate change refers to increase in average global temperatures. Extreme weather occurs when there is increase in frequency and intensity of heavy rainfall, sunshine, heat, wind, among others. Property and development. As it is most simple, property development can be likened to any other industrial production process that involves the combination of various inputs in order to achieve an output or product. In the case of property development, the product is a change of land use or a new or altered building in a process that combines land, labor, materials, finance. Sarah and Richard, 2007. So there are processes that which involves, first one is it involves initiation, evaluation, and acquisition. Then the main actors are landowners, developers, public sectors, planners, professional teams. So I'm going to talk on flooding. There are so many impacts to weather, to property development, but I'm going to talk on flooding mostly. Flooding, more frequent and intense rainfall leading to flooding and overwhelming of urban drainage system. Water resource, heightened water demand in hot and dry times, reduced soil moisture, and groundwater replenishment. Health, poorer air quality affects asthmatics and causes damage to plants and properties. Increased ground movement, ground comfort and productivity of workers. Transportation, deterioration, giving constraint to the selection of material for property composition. So flooding now. Types of flooding. Overbank flooding, which fuel to capacity because of heavy rainfall or melting snow. Water within a river flows in the banks and spread across the land around it. Sometimes area covered in wide and flat. Water tends to spread out. Flash floods, which is mostly occurring now. Water from floods can take time to build, allowing the population and area time to be warned in advance. But sometimes flooding occurs quickly. Flash floods carry debris that elevate their potential to damage structures and injure people. Coastal flooding occurs along the edges of rivers and oceans. Engineering issues. Flooding may be caused by man-made issues as well. A weakly constructed dam could receive a more substantive battering than it was designed for and give way, creating a flash flood in the regions downstream. Overland flooding, when extreme rainfall exceeds capacity of underground storm. Infiltration flooding can also occur when heavy rainfall infiltrates the soil beside foundation walls, where it can then enter the basement through cracks in the walls. There are some pictures of effects of weather in the country. That is causes. Deforestation, cutting of trees, development on waterways, which you can see from the picture. There is an estate recently which was submerged underwater due to flooding. The lack of drainage and dredging waterways. So lack of clearing and dredging waterways can also cause severe cost to building construction, especially in roads. Our recommendation, new infrastructure will be required for present and future generations expecting higher standard of living, while existing and planned infrastructure may need to be reinforced and adapted to cope with higher temperatures, greater and more frequent extreme events, sea level rise, and changing rainfall regimes. Investment in smart infrastructure and human capacities, which will be required to mitigate emission from, for example, energy, transport, agriculture, and forestry sectors. Those under this pillar, Nigeria needs to 3. Repair and rehabilitate existing infrastructure, e.g. coastal embankments, river embankments, river erosion control works, flood shelters, and drainage system. Undertake strategic planning of future infrastructure needs, taking into account the likely future patterns of urbanization and socio-economic development, as well as the anticipated climate change induced changing hydrological regimes of the country. Invest in planning, designing, and construction of urgently needed new infrastructure in various sectors to meet the changing conditions expected with climate change. Last but not the least, the river floodplains all around, especially let's say Abuja, there is need to be given a title to the relevant authorities, which they will have control over it, so that nobody can come and encroach and build a structure that would disturb the floodplains. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. A round of applause once again. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. That is the information from stakeholders, Abuja Properties. You can meet them. They have a building, smart building. We call it this time around, in collaborations with weather services. You know, and a house built and well planned. Collaboration with desert services is well received. We call it smart building these days. So that is why we invited them here. They can engage with us so that this beautiful height is going to be safe for us to live. We want to avoid flooding every year, taking up our homes. No, but from Abuja Properties, be guaranteed. Thank you very much. On this note, I want to indulge us our patience and for the invitations of our guest of honor, ably represented by our Director, Research and Training, Nigeria Meteorological Agency, representing the DG CEO, Nigeria Meteorological Agency, in the person of Professor Effiong Oku, to give us either a keynote address. Thank you very much. You are most welcome, sir.
The president of the Association of Meteorological Professionals of Nigeria, great meteorologists, special invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing in for our Director General, Professor Manso Bako Matazu, who was to be here. When he got the invitation, he planned to be here. But just 2 days back, he was booked for an appointment in a supervisory ministry. So late yesterday, he asked me to represent him. So I apologize for his inability to be here today. We've heard climate change has made meteorology now a household name and a household cause. So the slogan now all over the world is be a meteorologist if you can. I sat and I listened to our road safety representative present his paper. I know we have aviation meteorology, we have agricultural meteorology, we have marine meteorology, and the rest. And recently, at our training school, WMO Regional Training Center at Oshodi, Lagos, we have introduced one specialized course we call military meteorology. But this morning, as I sat there, I now heard what I would call elements of road safety meteorology. So we can see how, and then we also listen to the second speaker who talked about the built environment and weather and climate. So it tells us that weather and climate affects every sector of our economy. And I am not surprised. I've seen special invited guests almost from all sectors of our economy, including our military officers. And then this shows that there is no area, no socio-economic area that meteorology has not touched and has not affected. And this touching is going to be much more greater even as we see climate change also continue to ravage the earth. So I want to congratulate the organizers for bringing all the stakeholders together. It is time for us as stakeholders to come together and then put our heads together. In 2021, the outgone president, Muhammadu Buhari, did sign into law the National Climate Act. And that National Climate Act says every organization, both government and private, must have a weather desk officer. For private organization that employs up to 50 and more, must have a climate desk officer. And so in the coming years, you'll see the government trying to enforce this. And so this is an indication that even the government also recognizes that meteorology is the in thing. So I want to congratulate the organizers, the ESCO, the planning committee for organizing this stakeholders forum, and our Director General, Professor Manso Bako Matazo, wishes you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. My media guy, my to be bored. You understand? Thank you very much. Please, I want to ask whether we have the representative of the hydrological services among us. Okay, thank you very much. Please get ready for your presentations in a moment. While we are attending to that, you can give your slide to the media over there. We are expecting the hydrological service to also give us their presentations. And at the same time, fast spend first stage of the program before we go for a break. I would like you to be jotting down your questions, because I know you'll be having one or two questions. So we have sessions for that. So that's why I make provisions of materials for you, the questions, so that when the times come, we have enough. And you can see our scholars, they are here fully on ground to attend to all the questions, bordering on the impact of meteorological service. Uh, we pick one note from the, I guess, special guest of honor, if represented by Professor Ephraim Hedom, the Director of Research and Training. Try to give you free employment to become meteorologists. So that's the free. With everybody, you try to be meteorologists as possible, because weather affects everyone. As long as we are under this sky, the Earth atmosphere, weather affects everything about our ways of life. So we cannot joke away with it. So it's high time we begin to take note of early warnings. These days we call it impact-based forecast, so that we can take actions. I remember it's one of the topic for World Meteorological Day, early warning, early actions. These are the purpose of this information being given to us. And it begins with me, it begins with you. So that is why you have to become a meteorologist. A round of applause for our director. So it's a free employment. Because meteorology is what's very important. So you have to take it important for us. You can see various stakeholders here, from the road. In fact, if there is something it's call it the element of road safety, road meteorologist. So from road to here to sea to housing, so across all sectors. So weather cannot be downplayed, and it is high time we take note of services being rendered by meteorological agencies and their experts. That's why we try to brought the experts here to share and also recap our knowledge. How we take weather very, very important in our ways of life. Are you ready, my presenter? You have the podium. Thank you very much. A round of applause for him as he's coming. You're welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Taiwo Bangboshe, and I'm representing the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. I would like to observe the existing protocol. I'm going to be presenting on the activities of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. Next slide, please. Okay, what do we do as an agency? Our mandates give us the responsibility to collect data for both surface and groundwater in Nigeria. So basically, what we do is to collect data from both our surface water, that's our river channels, groundwater, and we also collect meteorological data. Now, what do we use some of these data for? Next slide, please. Okay, quantity, distribution, and availability in times and space for efficient and sustainable management of water resources. Next slide. So in line with that particular mandate, this is our vision and our vision. Next slide, please. Our primary function is to provide data and information on the location of water resources in time and space, their extent, dependability, quality, and the possibility of their utilization for control
on a continuous basis. Such information is generated through the following activities. Now, this is our activities, the activities that we carry out in our agency. Assessment of nation water resources, just like I've mentioned earlier. Provide data and information for planning, design, and operation of water projects and other facilities or allied projects. Now, in most cases in Nigeria, I think I need to sound this very well. We don't appreciate data. Before we carry out some activities such as construction, road construction, even building construction, we need some ground data to be able to decide what depth